The Icelandic expedition was motivated by the belief that the local ancient text called the Edda may hold the key to finding the location of the survivors of Atlantis, their blood relatives and hopeful allies. Some thought they may be the descendants of the people living in Iceland and Greenland. Others thought they became the mythical Hyperboreans who now live in a hollow earth. Whatever their conclusions they left off next to Tibet. In several expeditions to Tibet, the last at the request of Buddhist monks, yielding many relics and ancient texts as desired evidence which the Nazis brought back to Germany. The Tibetan monks saw the Nazis as a fulfillment of their own prophecies, as the ones with the Shambhala power that would complete the final Dharma cycle of the Aryan and usher in a new age of enlightenment. With open arms, the Nazi conducted ethnic studies, earth magnetism tests, and were given access to the cave systems within the Himalayas, forbidden to others for centuries. A sacred volume of ancient texts said to be from the time of Atlantis, or from a biblical point of view, pre-flood texts, were brought back to Germany. They even enlisted over 200 monks as technical experts and SS officers who were taken to Wellsberg Castle, which was Himmler's SS Ahnenerbe Nazi esoteric think tank. Soon afterwards, there was an announcement in the German papers that with the help of the Tibetan monks, the opening to the hollow earth had been discovered. This is when the 1938 expedition to the Antarctic began. The Nazis cordoned off an area of Queen Maud Land and renamed it New Schwabenland. Since that time, submarines from Germany established a regular route there. During the war, German submarines caught or captured in the areas discovered an overload of people. What should have been a normal crew of 8 to 12 men had as many as 50 people in them. It has been speculated that a colonization was taking place. A statement from Admiral Donitz may have confirmed this. As the head of the German Navy, Donitz told young submariners in school that if the war took a turn for the worse, they had already established a safe harbor to relocate to. At the same time activity increased in the Antarctic, German nationals began buying properties all along mountain ranges all throughout the world, but concentrating in the West, in South America, and even New Mexico, Arizona, and California. The American OSS was following this occult trail and was well aware of the suspicious activity. At the war's end, the American OSS was confronted by many surprises and a great mystery, which were all connected to the Antarctic and a hollow earth. These mysteries, when added up and using little imagination, tells us a very remarkable story. At the end of World War II, we found many of the largest modern German submarines missing from their pens, never to be found or seen again. As the Allies rushed toward Germany, the U.S. allowed Russia to take Berlin without dispute. We sent General Patton's group to Prague instead. As author Joseph Farrell points out in his book, Reich of the Black Sun, we were more interested in the Nazis' own nuclear bomb program and other developing technologies than we were an outward show of victory. We let Russia enjoy that part while we had bigger goals to complete. Prague was one place we knew was a key location for real war booty. This led the Allies to Nordhausen, where we found amazing discoveries. Nordhausen was a huge underground complex built into the mountains where the Nazis continued to manufacture and develop the new superweapons Hitler spoke of. Traditional history tells of captured rockets and jet aircraft, but until recently has always conveniently left out the other discoveries. Circular and triangular aircraft in various stages of development were also discovered. I have seen these for myself on U.S. archive microfilm. They are real. Although anything captured was conventionally propelled, they were still like nothing anyone had seen before. What also had been alleged to have been discovered were blueprints and plans of alternate energy sources and methods of propulsion, such as vortex implosion engines, electromagnetic gyros, and other advanced forms of technology. In other locations, experiments in high altitude and low temperature effects on the human body were also discovered, suggesting the preparation for a space program. I have seen these microfilm documents and have them in my own collection. Cloning technology was also discovered from Joseph Mengele and other experiments in the death camps, as well as mind control. This caused a near panic to retrieve these important informations and discoveries and its creators and keepers of these secrets before anyone else. Operation Paperclip, Lusty, and Sunrise went into action to obtain these objects, people, and documentation. These programs ultimately became America's undoing, and I believe is even prophetically mentioned in Daniel 11:43 through 45. To get the details, I describe them in my book. This search made the OSS aware of other mysteries. As recorded in Guinness Book of World Records, the largest unsolved bank heist ever was the entire German Reichstag Bank. This is not including the many caches of looted gold recovered by the Allies after the war. This would be like someone conquering the U.S. and upon entering Fort Knox they find it empty with everyone saying they knew nothing about it. The mysterious fact is that the entire tangible national economy disappeared. That does not happen by accident. While looking for the scientists and engineers working on Nazi Black Ops type programs, some were found, but most seemed to disappear, just as the highest man in charge, Hans Kammler. They, like the money and submarines, disappeared never to be seen again. As part of the Lebensborn, a eugenics program, many Aryan women and selected SS men were used as baby breeders to recreate the pure Aryan. With the largest disappearance in the Ukraine and other amounts from all other occupied territories, and I know this sounds incredible, but almost 200,000 people are unaccounted for. This does not include MIs, POWs, and those executed in death camps. The Nazis were articulate in records keeping, and this is a fair estimation that seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth. 2 months after the war, 2 Nazi submarines surrendered to Argentine authorities, who then hand over the crews to the American OSS. The crews said that they had just left the Antarctic, where they left supplies near a cave in the German area of New Schwabenland. The OSS kept the officers for the next 2 years for questioning. All this evidence just cries out, as incredible as it might sound, that an entire government and key individuals with a significant population relocated to somewhere else. The U.S. did not take this evidence lightly. We knew of the Nazi occult trail of exploration and backtracked their steps. This led us to dispatch our only expert on the Antarctic, Admiral Byrd, to the Antarctic. The public was told that this was a scientific venture to test military equipment in severe cold climates and to do further mapping and geological studies. The contingency to Operation High Jump consisted of 13 military ships, including an aircraft carrier, battleships, and a typical military operation. It also included 4,000 ground troops, a couple of PBY reconnaissance planes, and heavy military equipment. There was not one special-built research ship included. The group broke off into 2 groups and made a 3-pronged military entrance onto the Antarctic continent, headed toward the German base 211 in the area they called New Schwabenland. They were outfitted for an 8-month stay. However, after only 2 weeks, they returned with the loss of many heavy equipment and planes. En route back, a ship-to-shore communication with a Chilean newspaper stated that Admiral Byrd told them that in the future we would have to contend with aircraft that could fly from pole to pole in a matter of minutes. There is no proof of this conversation, and it appears that a cover-up is in the process. Once back home, Admiral Byrd was taken to Washington, where he was sworn to silence and the whole matter kept hushed. Nothing else was ever mentioned in the press, and it became a non-event. Years later, Admiral Byrd tried to push Congress to use the Antarctic to test as a test site for our nuclear bombs. When in 1952, a month before the bill was to be presented to the floor for discussion, Washington is suddenly buzzed by groups of UFOs flying in a typical German formation. The bill was dropped, and soon afterward the international policy on both Arctic and Antarctic circles was developed. 5 months after High Jump, our government officials were nervously searching for a last bastion of Nazis who may have fled with a technology that challenged their position as victors of World War II. Many sightings, including the Kenneth Arnold sighting, depicted UFOs that were identical to the captured Nazi documents. But the next event to happen took them beyond nervous to horrified. It was planned, it was prophesied, and it was the beginning of a new Nazi plan, Roswell.